First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the elders and Akim pushing this truth and sincerity. And to the elect who are receiving this truth, I say grace be unto you. I am Kahan from the GMS Dallas camp, coming to you with a lesson today. Trying to see if I can get through Galatians chapter 3. Just read, a couple of verses, see if I can be edifying to the flock. The lesson is kind of going into understanding the mystery of faith, and who would be those that will receive the understanding of that mystery, right? So I'm going to start off with Ephesians 6:19. Ephesians 6:19 says, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel. Right. So that's a big topic in Christianity, trying to understand the mystery, because the gospel is truly a mystery to the majority of Israel, majority of our people. The good news, at least the understanding of a part of the good news, is that the seed of Israel was not going to be cut off or done away with, because we had basically gone off. We went away from the law, statutes, and commandments. So according to Romans 3:23, let me get that. Shalaki. Going to Romans 3:23. It says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of Yahweh. Right? So again, that's the consequence. That was the consolation of going away from the law, statutes, and commandments. That was a decree given from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Right? Let me get that Romans 6:23 real quick. Romans 6:23. It says, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of Yahweh is eternal life through Yahweh Mashiach our Lord. Right? So, according to the punishment of the law, Israel shouldn't have been. We should have been cut off. We shouldn't have had a remnant, pursuant to Isaiah chapter 1 verse 9. We should have been like Sodom, right? Isaiah 1:9. It says, except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. So we understand what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. It was ultimately destroyed, right? But the gift, ultimately the gift from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua was the gospel of faith, the good news. That was how Yahweh made another way for us through the sacrifice that Yahweh Shah made, and that was going to be the only way that Israel was going to be redeemed from the curses of the law, right? So let's get into Galatians chapter 3. I start at verse 1. Well, Salaki, let me give you a little bit of context. But Galatians 3rd chapter is going into basically Paul was writing a letter to the churches in Galatia, because they were going off. The Jews, the churches basically were teaching that the Jews and the Gentiles, the converts, could only be saved through they had to be circumcised. There was a term called Judaizer, right? So in the early church, his teaching was basically a custom that uh, said that it promoted basically that salvation was only through the Mosaic laws. So in order for a Jew or a Gentile to be converted, they had to first be circumcised, right? And as an example, in Acts chapter 15, Salaki, if I'm rambling, Acts chapter 15, verse 1 and 2, it says, "And certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved." Right? So that was the doctrine of the Judaizers, that you cannot be saved uh, uh, unless you're circumcised, right? It says, "When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question." So again, this is kind of uh, uh, showing the similarities in the type of mentality of the church in Galatia. They were trying to teach a different doctrine, outside of the true understanding of having faith in Yahweh Shem Shah, right? So, goodness gracious, Salaki. So going back to Galatians chapter 3, verse 2. Galatians 3, verse 2, right? It says, "This only would I learn of you, receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith?" Right? So that's a major point, right? For the most part, the Israelites in Galatia, they knew who they were. They knew uh, uh, that they were Hebrew Israelites. So just a cut to the Christians who basically thinking that this was talking, Paul was talking to all of the people who lived in Galatia. No, he was only referring to the southern tribes, who consisted of the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Those were the ones who kept the law, statutes, and commandments, because they were the ones who were given the laws. They kept the laws, but they took it to another level, right? They were the ones that were celebrating the Passover. They traveled 3 times a year. No other heathen nation was doing that. So but we have to understand, we have to put things in perspective, that there was a lot of Jews who were Hellenized, right? They were still practicing customs of the Greeks. So let's get a little example of that. Romans chapter 10, verse 12. Okay, it says, "For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him." So again, why is it emphasizing Greek? Well, because you had a significant portion of Israelites who were still Hellenized, meaning they were still practicing the customs of the Greeks. They were acting like heathens. So jumping back to Galatians chapter 3, verse 2, right? So like it. Galatians 3, verse 2, right? It's saying, "This only what I learned of you, receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith?" Right? Verse 3, "Are ye so foolish? Having begun in the Spirit, are ye now made perfect by the flesh?" So now that Paul is preaching, or actually asking a question uh, to the Israelites: Are you now made perfect through the law? Are you now trying to perfect yourself in the flesh?" Right? Because again, Paul he understood the majority of the Israelites were Hellenized, right? Um, so they were, the church was kind of bringing a different doctrine and trying to uh, you know, put the law over faith, right? Um, he understood that the heathen, they were adverse to the law, but you don't understand that it was through faith and the hearing of faith that you were saved, right? Paul is preaching basically that the law of truth actually came through the spirit of faith first, right? It was of hearing of faith. Let me get that. This is Romans chapter 10, verse 17, right? Romans 10:17. So then faith coming by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahweh, right? So evidently, it's not of the law in which we receive the truth. It was the spirit. It was of the spirit. It was of the spirit that we have the gift of faith, because our spirit resonate. At least when I came into this truth, many other brothers testified coming to this truth. They heard something resonated in their spirit that allowed them to believe, and that ultimately was the gift that was given from on high, right? So that's what Paul is reestablishing, that everything is starts first and foremost from Yahweh Shemi Shai. You cannot uh, uh, be given a gift from Yahweh Shemi Shai and then put that over the gift of sacrifice that Yahweh Shai gave us. So the my point is saying the law that was given to Moses, right, cannot be put over the gift of Yahweh Shai that was established first. That faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai, right? Let's going back to Galatians chapter 3, verse 3. Right? So it says, I read that already. Okay, so are ye so foolish, having begun the spirit, are ye now made perfect by the flesh? So again, we're not made perfect through the flesh. We're not made perfect through the law, right? Because the truth of the fact of the matter is that the law is basically you trying to justify the flesh, the things, your works, and that's not um, that's not a full sacrifice. The full sacrifice is belief, having faith, right? We can't be made perfect through the law. Again, like I said, we're only going to be made perfect by our faith in Yahweh Shemi Shai. That's ultimately the whole point of the gospel, right? That's having faith in Yahweh Shemi Shai is ultimately what's going to deliver us into true perfection. That's what the new covenant is about. The gospel is preaching, having faith in Yahweh Shemi Shai so that we can be made perfect, and that perfection is the new covenant. The fullness of our faith in Yahweh Shemi Shai is the new covenant. That's when we're made sons of power again. We cannot will ourselves through the law to become sons of power, right? Galatians chapter 3, verse 4. Have ye suffered so many things in vain? If it be yet in vain, right? It says, he therefore that ministered to you the Spirit and worketh miracles among you, doth he it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith, right? So again, Yahweh Shai himself said, if you have the faith as little as mustard seed, then you can move mountains, right? It wasn't belief for the law that you're going to be able to move a mountain, right? Again, we're not establishing that the laws are not important. They are very important, right? But ultimately, um, we are not made whole through the laws only. It's only through our faith. The key ingredient is faith, belief in the power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, and His Word, and that was established first with Abraham. So let's kind of get a little context on that, because that's very important. That's That's the reason why a lot of Christians try to disannul the Old Testament. They try to remove it because that faith was established with Abraham and extended to the seeds of Abraham because of Abraham's faith, right? So let's go into Genesis chapter 12. Start at 1. All right. It says, Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord has said unto Abram, Salaki, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And just putting a little perspective on this act. This was something that was very important. Moving from the stability and comfort from your own home, your identity, that is a big thing to then go into another land in which you know nothing about. That took a tremendous amount of faith. That took a tremendous amount of belief that Abraham is showing us, right? So, verse 2, it says, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing, right? Verse 3, it says, and I will bless thee, I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Yahweh is making Abraham an example that his faith was going to be rewarded. He had a consolation of his faith, or rather his belief in the faith that Yahweh would deliver on his promise, right? So, Abraham departed he had departed to Canaan when he was 75. And remember, Canaan was a land filled with idol worshippers. So imagine Abraham moving from his family and home and going into a very, very vile place, a place that would be enmity with his spirit, right? But the Lord made a promise. The Lord said, he's gonna bless him. That land is gonna be promised to hit not only him but his seed as well, right? Let me get a precept on that. Genesis 17, and this is very important to establish that whatever Yahweh decrees is it's going to come to pass, right? It's going to be fulfilled. Right? This is Genesis chapter 17, verse 1. It says, and when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Yahweh. Walk before me and be thou perfect. Right? Verse 2, and I will make my covenant between me and thee and will multiply thee exceedingly. Right? So Abraham had faith in that promise. Right? Verse 3, and Abram fell on his face, and Yahweh talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Right? So, again, this is a very, very big deal. Right? If you move on, let me jump down to verse 9 real quick. That's the point. And Yahweh said unto Abraham, right, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. Right? So Yahweh is establishing here that he's not only going to make a covenant with Abraham, but also with his seed in their generations, from son to son, right? In accordance to the lineage of the flesh. So why is that relevant? Because we're tying it to not only to the time of Galatia, but also to the modern time, that there has to be a certain nation of people that are entitled to that inheritance. And that's what Paul was ultimately writing in the letter of Galatia, reestablishing that, Yahweh's authority, not through the authority of man, not through the authority of the law, right? So again, the generations of Israel, that didn't end. You know, there's a generation, an inheritance from Abraham, that was not only going to receive the promise and have the same faith that Abraham had, but also the same reward that Abraham received, and that extends to today. That's why it's so important to get the true understanding of the mystery of faith, because it bridges the time of Abraham to our modern time, that there was a promise that was going to be fulfilled by Yahweh Shema Shai if you have faith in Yahweh Shai, right? So let me see if I can get a precept on that. Right, so like if I'm all over the place, this is Sirach chapter 44, verse 19. It says, Abraham was a great father of many people, and glory was there none like unto him. Verse 20, who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Right, and that covenant with his flesh was going into the circumcision. Right, it was solidified through the circumcision. Right, and that's what the what was the term? Judaizers. Yeah, so like the Judaizers tried to put over, they try to put that over their faith. They try to put the law of circumcision and make that the gift of having true salvation. And Paul had to correct them on that. Verse 21, therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed, and that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, and from the river unto the utmost part of the land. Right? Verse 22, this is the point. With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessing, and gave him an heritage, and divided his portion among the 12 tribes did he part them. And again, the reward is only going to come through having faith through Yahweh Shema Shai. That was the whole point of bringing, reading the, covenant with Abraham, and the belief that Abraham had in the promise that Yahweh made to him. And that extends all the way to the time of Paul's writings to Galatia. He's reestablishing that the same type of promise that was given to Abraham is the same promise that's going to be given to Israel during that time, but it's only through having the same faith that Abraham had, right? So that's the whole point. That's the main point, right? So let's go jump back to Galatians. So Galatians chapter 3. I think I ended at 5. I'm not sure. That's Galatians 3 and 5. So it says, Galatians 3 and 5. He therefore that ministereth to you the Spirit, and worketh miracles, worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law, or the hearing of faith? Right? And again, just to reestablish what Paul is trying to say to the church of Galatia is basically, don't go outside of the doctrine of the mystery of the faith, because in doing so, you will remove yourself from Yahweh's promise, right? That promise is only going to be fulfilled through having the same faith that Abraham had, and believing in the doctrine, believing in the true doctrine in which Yahweh Shai and the disciples were preaching, right? And to believing in Yahweh Shai, you inherit the things that was promised and kept by the oath that Yahweh established. If that makes any sense, so like that was going to be the only path to receive the kingdom, right? Let me get a precept real quick. Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41 and 8. Right? Okay, it says, "But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend." Right? Again, the connection is that not only are we from the seed of promise, right? But we also, through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai, we receive the things pertained that was given to Abraham, right? Because Abraham had faith in those promises, and we are coming in that same stead, right? No other nation outside of Israel. You so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics, and also the tribe of Israel, the Ephraimites, you know, the tribes that the 12 tribes of Israel, basically, right? So that's the whole point. That's the main point here, right? Going back to Galatians, and I'll make it. I'm about to, make it a little shorter, because I think we're getting the main point. Um, okay, it says, verse 6: "Even as Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was accounted to him for righteousness." Right. So why was it accounted for him for righteousness? Because he had faith. He had tremendous faith. It was already ordained that Yahweh was going to uh, establish Abraham as a king. As a father of many nations. Salaki, as a father of many nations. That's what I should have said. Right. It says, "Now ye therefore," verse 7, "Now ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham." Right. So the Galatians were Israelites, the seed of Abraham. But again, to fulfill being the seed of Abraham, you also had to not only do the works of Abraham, but you have to believe as Abraham believed. So you have to fulfill the works of faith, not just the works of the law, right? So the seed of Abraham basically was the or the was the one that the promises were given to. That's the ones that Yahweh is dealing with today, right? So again, that was not going to be disannulled. That seed was not going to change because Yahweh changes not. You know. Um, let me move on to verse 8. It says, "And the scripture foreseeth that Yahweh would justify the heathen through faith, preach before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, In thee shall all nations be blessed." Let me look up that word gospel, right? So like that word gospel, right? It says to announce or promise glad tidings before, right? To announce glad news in advance, right? So that good news was Yahweh Shai, the way back to Yahweh, the way back into life, the way uh, 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 back to immortality, and ultimately not being forsaken because of our transgressions and sins, right? So again, we have a we are special, and not only the Jews, but also those who were scattered among the heathen, the other nations, because they went off too. So that's so important, is because we are likened to the Gentiles. We are the ones scattered. We are the ones that are learning heathenistic ways. Celebrating holidays. We have now this Xmas coming. You know, uh, all this stuff is of the heathen. All this stuff is wayward. Is a way that's not pleasing to Yahweh Bashim Shai, right? And if we stay in that spirit, then we're not gonna receive the promises that was given unto Abraham, right? So I'm not gonna make it too lengthy. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to see if I can get part 2 to Galatians, the 3rd chapter. I really hope this was edifying. Um, Again, I'm gonna try to see if I can finish the Galatians in the second part. But first and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Shem Shah by Shem Kakadash. Again, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, the elders, the elect who are receiving this truth, receiving the mystery and understanding of the mystery of faith. And I want to say Kwame Asharala, keep pushing, keep fighting, and a ball.